Look up. Go outside on a clear night and turn your eyes to the sky. You see it, right? That familiar silver disk. Our moon. It's our constant companion, a celestial anchor in the cosmic ocean. It has guided travelers, inspired poets, and pulled our tides for centuries, but I want you to imagine something else. Imagine you look up, and you don't see one moon, you see two glowing orbs, hanging like cosmic chandeliers in the velvet darkness of space. This isn't just a fancy idea, this is a thought experiment. A journey on the ship of imagination, to a world that's like ours, but fundamentally, beautifully, and maybe dangerously different. What would it mean for us? What would it mean for life? And what would it mean for the planet beneath our feet? Let's find out. The very first and most immediate change would be the pure, breathtaking view of our night sky. The darkness would be different, more gentle. Nights would probably never be completely black. Imagine a world where the landscape is always bathed in a soft, silvery blue glow. Luna Selene. There would always be a source of moonlight. Think about the phases. We're used to Luna's predictable cycle from new to full, about 29.5 days. Shifting crescents, gibbous shapes, full disks, but their cycles could be different. A result of unique orbital periods. A more complex, fascinating lunar calendar would emerge. Nights of double full moons, both would be at their brightest, so much light that you could read. The world would become an ethereal dreamscape. Double new moons, both invisible, rare, profound darkness. The stars of the Milky Way would be incredibly intense. The visual wonder goes even further. Imagine eclipses. A solar eclipse could become a multi-stage spectacle. Lunar eclipses would be more dramatic. One moon could turn blood red in Earth's shadow, while the other remains brilliantly lit nearby. Our oceans are in a constant conversation with the moon. It's a dialogue written in the language of gravity. Because of the moon's pull, the water on the side of Earth facing the moon bulges out, and another bulge forms on the opposite side too. As the Earth spins, these bulges move around the globe, making our tides rise and fall in a steady rhythm. Now, let's bring in Selene, a second moon. It adds another voice, another pull of gravity, to this conversation. The result won't just be double the tides, but a much more complicated and powerful tidal system. This will forever change our coastlines and ocean life. The height of the tides will be the most dramatic change. When Luna and Selene line up in the sky, whether they're on the same side of Earth or opposite sides, their gravity will combine. This event, called syzygy, will create super tides that are much more extreme than the spring tides we have today. High tides will rush much farther inland, possibly flooding vast coastal areas and the homes of millions of people. Low tides will be just as extreme, showing off a huge part of the seabed, rock pools and sandbars that we can barely imagine. Coastal life will be in a constant dance with these powerful, stronger rhythms. Sometimes new nurseries will form and sometimes the shoreline will change. What happens when both moons are at right angles to each other, compared to Earth? Their gravitational pulls will work against each other, partly canceling each other out. This will lead to periods of unusually weak tides, but overall, the tidal pattern won't be a simple twice-daily rise and fall anymore. Predicting tides will become a much more complicated science. It will be essential for navigation, fishing, and keeping coastal areas safe. The changes from two moons don't just stop at the water, they spread to every ecosystem on the planet, changing even the pace of life. For plants, light is life. This is the energy they use to make food through photosynthesis. The sun is the main source, but moonlight plays a small part. In a world with two moons, nights would be much brighter. This constant low-level light could affect plant biology. Some species might adapt to photosynthesize even at night. Even if it's less, they would get a competitive edge. Many plants rely on photoperiodism, flowering, growing, shedding leaves, or going dormant, and constant moonlight could confuse these old biological clocks. Plants might flower at strange times or have trouble going dormant for cold weather. Over thousands of years, evolution would favor species that adapt to this new nocturnal environment, leading to forests with different growth patterns, new kinds of flowers that only open during a double full moon, and a plant kingdom that follows a more complex celestial rhythm. A big impact on agriculture, farmers have relied on predictable solar and lunar cycles for centuries. New tidal patterns would affect coastal farming. Super tides could lead to saltwater getting in, making land unusable. Humanity would have to start a new agricultural revolution, with crops that can handle bright nights and longer days. Besides the direct effects of light, changes in climate and tides would create new habitats and destroy old ones. Ever since we became humans, we've looked up at the sky for meaning. The sun, the moon, myths, religions, calendars, they've been at the heart of our cultural structures. Now just imagine, how would human culture have grown under the watchful eyes of two moons? The idea of two of a kind would be even more deeply woven into our shared thinking. Brothers and sisters, rivals, lovers all taking on new forms. A double full moon would surely be a time of big celebration or deep spiritual meaning, while a double new moon might be a time for quiet thought and looking inward. Phrases like once in a blue moon might be replaced with once in a twin moon. Our languages and art would be full of new ways to describe things. We'd have a more complex trio, the single sun and the twin moons. This changes everything. Our philosophies, spiritual beliefs, physics, and math. Sailors would rely on complex maps, and for ancient astronomers, their movements would be a huge brain teaser. Stories, festivals, myths, everything would be even richer and more detailed. Our myths and science would take on new shapes. Poets and painters would get ideas from a rich sky full of colors. Two amazing anchors in our sky. The desire to predict would have been a strong reason for math and physics to grow. The scientific revolution might have happened differently. We would have two anchors of wonder in the night sky. The animal kingdom, especially its night-loving members, lives by the rules of darkness. Night is for hunting, it's for hiding. All these activities depend on the moon's light cycles. If there's a second moon, all these rules will change. The whole world of night animals will have to change a lot. True darkness will be gone. For owls, big cats, and wolves, hunting will become very hard. The world will always be bright, giving prey more chances to be seen. They might become even more jumpy and watchful. Some hunters might develop better ways to hide, others might get sharper hearing or smelling senses. Small prey will feel more exposed, they will eat for less time or stay close to thick cover. The old race between hunter and hunted will be fought on a new, bright battlefield. Insect behavior will also change a lot, moths will get confused, and their numbers will be badly affected. Plants that need to be pollinated and animals that eat them will be affected. The whole night food chain will be messed up. Some kinds of animals will survive, others might die out. Sea animals like sea turtles and corals will also have their breeding messed up. Our thought experiment with Earth having two moons isn't just make-believe. It shows us a reality we see all over our solar system and even beyond. When we point our telescopes at the universe, we find out that moons aren't rare. In fact, they're pretty normal. Mars has its two small potato-shaped moons, Phobos and Deimos, which might be asteroids that got caught. But with the gas giants, moon systems are on a huge scale. Jupiter has an amazing group of over 90 moons. Among them are the four Galilean moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, each one bigger than our moon and super interesting for science. Moons like Saturn's Titan offer completely different worlds with their thick air and lakes of liquid methane. Exomoons, moons orbiting planets in other solar systems, are now a big area of astronomy research, even if they're hard to find. It's pretty certain that there are billions of exomoons in our galaxy alone, some rocky, some icy, some maybe even able to support life. Our search for moons, both real and imagined, reminds us that the universe is much more diverse and amazing than we ever thought. With two moons, the constant, strong pull of gravity wouldn't just affect the oceans, it would also shake the ground under our feet. Earth's crust is like a puzzle made of tectonic plates, floating on a partly melted layer called the mantle. The extra tidal forces from a second moon would put a lot of stress on this crust. This process, called tidal heating, could cause activity similar to what we see on Io. On Earth, this would mean a huge increase in geological activity, more frequent and stronger earthquakes, and old fault lines becoming active again. Areas along the Pacific coast might feel shaking all the time. We'd have to completely rethink how we design and build things. Volcanic activity could increase, new islands might form, and changes in gases and tiny particles in the air could have long-lasting effects on the climate. Eruptions release gases into the atmosphere. Sulfur and carbon dioxide can affect the climate. This is a danger. But volcanic soil is rich and good for growing things. Geothermal vents support life. Tectonic activity helps with the carbon cycle and keeps the climate stable over a long time. Another reason why more geological activity could, in some ways, keep the planet alive. It would be a risky but active and fertile world. Our land would constantly be changing. So let's come back from our journey. We are once again standing under the night sky, but it has changed forever. We don't see one moon, but two moons, Luna and Selene. This simple change transforms our nights, tides, climate, biology, geology, and culture. An Earth with two moons isn't just a what-if, it's a strong reminder of how everything in our world is connected. Tides, rotation, our biology, our culture, everything is connected. And in the cosmos, the possibilities are endless.